Apologies for that. That was former President Donald Trump engaging in some sort of performance during his keynote speech at a dinner in Michigan. So he was given the Man of the Decade award by the county Republican Party, which great. They were, respect was shown by Trump for being given that reward by moaning awkwardly on the stage. But nonetheless, he was imitating a cisgender female athlete struggling to lift a heavy weight, which he then goes on to contrast with what he claims is a transgender weightlifter competing against the cisgender female. Let's watch.
You see these records, weightlifting records that stood for 18 years. 18 years, and now they're being broken by like 100 pounds. They used to put a little tiny, a quarter of an ounce on these barbells, and a young woman would get up and she's a great champion. Little quarter, little thing, 18 years it stood. 18 years. And she got up and she's so proud. Her parents are there. And she gets up. Mom, Dad, I can't do it. Then this guy comes along. Have you lifted before? No, I haven't, really. Well, you're gonna have to lift this weight over your head. And he said, that's all right, I should be able to do it. He goes like this. Then he said, how about adding 100 pounds to it?
Okay, so he has made this point before. Obviously, he's tapping into the contentious issue regarding transgender athletes competing against cis women. And he's never really specific about who he's referring to, so we can only speculate as to what or who he's referring to. And we'll get into the possibilities in just a moment. But before we do, Cenk, thoughts on Trump's moaning performance?
So there's two different parts of the story. One is that we'll get into the substance of what he said, but the more important part is the dude's a populist and he does these kind of things that are goofy.
Yep.
And people love it.
They do.
And so people in establishment media look at that and go, oh, how unbecoming. There he goes again, he's blowing it. No, he's not. His audience loves it. You see how much they laughed? And overall, among the reasons why he's successful is because he entertains the crowds. Who's gonna go to a DeSantis rally? You think DeSantis is gonna be like, oh, no, DeSantis is gonna, So this is
that freaking face.
This is winning stuff, it is. You might not like it, you might hate it, it might be incorrect, it might be goofy, but it wins, and that's politics. It's not what the media and the Democratic Party have been telling you your whole life. Be super civil, discuss policy using SAT words, and make sure corporations win. But no, you get in there and you fight and you say silly things, outrageous things. You get people's attention and you get them to love you.
Yeah, and when you mention Trump being a populist, especially as it pertains to some of these culture war issues, his delivery there and the message he's trying to send might turn off members of our audience, might turn off people on the far left. But you guys have to also understand we are in a bubble. We are in a severe bubble, right? Especially when it comes to this particular issue, because there is growing rage in the country in regard to the lack of fairness when it comes to some of these specific situations in which transgender athletes are included in these competitions. You're gonna get upset about it, especially if you consider yourself or fancy yourself an activist for the transgender community. You can go ahead and get mad about it, but you need to understand that there are people who do not see it as fair, and it really depends on the specific situation. So as I mentioned earlier, right, we don't know exactly what he is referring to, but there are some prominent cases that have led to backlash that he could be talking about. So let's give you the examples. Actually, before we do, I just want to also note, he has brought up this issue before. Most recently, he imitated a female weightlifter in April while trying to make a point about women's sports. So we have a quick clip on that. Let's watch.
She got over the barbell. They put like a little tiny ounce on one side, ounce on the other. This thing was, if you beat it by an ounce, you have the world record. And she got up there and, should I do it? I'm gonna do it. She couldn't do it.
Just when you thought it couldn't get worse. I mean, he put his hands under the desk and started moaning. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, but the crowd goes nuts. They love it. Keep it real on what politics actually is, not what the clowns on TV tell you.
So he also claimed that this trans woman that he was speaking about in the last video that we showed you broke a 20-year record in weightlifting. And it's unclear if it's true because we don't know what he's referring to. He's not being specific, right?
He's making it up.
He's not naming any names. So, okay, but that, I wanna, when someone on the opposing side makes an argument, I want to at least understand where the argument is coming from, right?
For sure, I have tons of nuance on that argument coming in a second.
So let's talk about some of the instances that he could be referring to. Now, he referred to the supposed trans woman as Alice, though we couldn't find any weightlifters named Alice that fit his description.
And they didn't add an ounce to each side. I mean, we know he's exaggerating.
They put it out on one side, they put it out on another side.
And then the guy comes in, he had 100 pounds, he lifts it right away, okay?
None of that is true, but anyway, keep going.
So there is, however, a transgender weightlifter named Ann, who has gotten a lot of attention in recent years for participating in women's competitions in Canada, okay? So this particular case is actually really interesting, and I'll give you the details and then we can have a discussion about what we think about it. So at the Western Canadian Powerlifting and Bench Press Championships last September, her name is Ann Andrus. Andrus pressed 275 pounds, which sounds like a lot. I've never tried to bench press anything, much less 275 pounds. And that ended up breaking Alberta's female bench press record. It's been reported as if she broke the world record. She didn't, not even close. The world record for women's bench press is actually 650 pounds, which, Jesus, beast mode, absolute beast mode.
Wow.
Now, she allegedly won 8 of 10 competitions entered in the women's category over the last 4 years.
And did.
Yeah.
In Canada.
In Canada.
Okay, so I read a bunch of other ones. So there's, because he said she had just, the trans woman had just entered the sport. And so there was an Olympian, the first Olympian to compete who was transgender, was in weightlifting, was from New Zealand, and she was 43 years old. And she got annihilated at the Olympics.
Right, but okay, so the Olympics case is really, really interesting because in the Olympics case, what they did was they measured or tested the testosterone levels, and made sure that the testosterone levels were low enough to actually make the competition fair with the inclusion of the transgender athlete. That I'm okay with, right? But
I'm not even okay with that.
Interesting, okay.
Okay, so here comes my nuance.
But guys, like, okay, let me just make one other point. Like, sex exists. Gender and sex are two different things. Oh, I know, everyone's gonna freak out about that, but it's true. I don't know when they moved the goalpost and made it so gender and sex are the same, but they're not. So what I mean by that is people born male have different physical capabilities on average compared to women. We're talking about weightlifting here. Are we really gonna pretend like there isn't an advantage when it comes to individuals who are born male?
Yeah. So look, my line is high school. If they're high school and below, leave the kids alone. Let them go in whatever sport. If they wind up breaking a record, everybody's gonna be all right. They're kids.
Yeah, okay? But high school athletics determine scholarships. So let's not minimize that either.
No, I'm minimizing it. If you came in second because somebody broke the record in your school, you're gonna be all right. That's not gonna blow your scholarship, okay? On the other hand, when you go to Olympics or professional sports, no, sorry. So people of trans allies have sent me studies, et cetera, and I meticulously read through the studies. And the studies indicate there's 7 of them. It's inconclusive because there's not enough evidence, right? And trans allies will say like, see, we win. No, you don't win, it's inconclusive. And then when I looked further into the weightlifting one, yeah, but a couple of folks, including the transgender woman from New Zealand, in other contests, second, sixth, first, third, for a person who just entered the that sport, and some who had been in the sport for a while, etc. No, the hormone blockers do lower the testosterone. They do even things out a lot, right? But the men still have other physical advantages, like we maintain mass much better. And to give you a sense of how unfair this is, that where she won in Canada with 275-pound bench press. I bench press 275. Okay, and that's not a big deal for a guy. I mean, it's okay, but it's not that big a deal. You're gonna put that in the women's division. I don't care how many hormone blockers you had. It's gonna make a difference, okay? And in the limited cases, they're not like instantly breaking every record like Trump is saying, right? But they're doing better than the average bear, okay? So, and here I'll add one thing that's really important. And we shot a show, I don't know if you guys are ever gonna see it, we shot a pilot just this weekend with a mixed Republican and Democratic family, okay? I asked them about trans rights, should they have the same rights, same exact rights in housing, employment, etc. Every one of them, including hardcore Trump people, were like, yes, they should have the same exact rights.
Yeah, exactly.
When I asked about this topic, every one of them, except one, 6 out of 7, were like, no, not competing in sports. Doesn't make sense. Men and women are different, okay? And so whether that's, we can get into the, continue that scientific debate, but as far as the American people go and politics go, you're gonna lose them. Whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter, you're gonna lose them. Okay, and that what I just saw with my own eyes is not an anecdote. The polling bears it out.
Yeah.
This is not a winning issue for us. It is what it is. You do what you want with that information.
Well, the advocates and activists for the transgender community would respond with, we don't care about the politics, right? We don't care
about. Okay, but then don't come. No, I gotta say it.
Let me just finish my thought, Cenk, for 1 second.
Go ahead.
Okay, they'll say that, but okay, you don't care about the politics? Let's just, for once in your life, think strategically about what that means. That means that you're gonna continue pushing the Democratic Party to unequivocally support everything that the trans activists want, even if it's unpopular among the electorate. That means they're not getting reelected. That means they're gonna lose to Republicans. Republican lawmakers who are passing draconian, disgusting legislation in various states right now as we speak against the transgender community. So how does that make you win exactly?
No, that is incredibly selfish of activists who are betraying their own community. Because when you say I don't care about elections, who cares about the Democrats? That isn't the point. The Republicans introduced over 600 bills against the LGBTQ community. That's because of elections. And over 70 of them have already passed. When you say I don't care about winning and I don't care about elections, what you're saying is I'm super selfish leftist activist and I'd like to build my cloud. But meanwhile, I'm willing to throw trans people and the entire LGBTQ community under the bus, knowing that these bills are gonna pass because we're laser focused on a losing issue. And by the way, you schmucks, you're falling exactly into the right-wing trap. The Republicans, they tried everything. They tried anti-gay stuff, it didn't work. They tried trans bathrooms, you remember that? That didn't work. Kicking the transgender community out of the military, that didn't work. They drilled in until they finally found a little tiny nugget of like, hey, trans folks in like competitive sports seems a little bit much. And you don't engage them in that fight. They lose on everything else. But idiot activists, yes, I just called you an idiot. Activists go in there and go, no, I'm gonna fall right into that trap and I'm gonna fight on the only losing ground we have so we can elect more Republicans so they can pass more anti-LGBT laws. Great, well played. I'm sure your clout and your brand is doing great.
I mean, I agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I have your back on that because you're right. And I think what we're seeing, look, every action leads to an equal or greater reaction. And that is what, like, the further the activists push with things that are not wanted by the vast majority of people, the more Republicans will capitalize on that, seize that for their own political power, and respond with the draconian legislation that we've been seeing in various states.
I'm gonna say one last thing, sorry, and I keep kind of.
No, it's okay, go ahead.
Why don't you make them fight on losing ground? What? Yeah, what? Look, we have 1,000 winning issues. Paid family leave is at 84%. By the way, trans rights is at like 2/3 of the country saying yes. Why don't you fight on winning grounds? Trump tried to ban trans people from risking their lives to serve in the US military. That is winning ground for us. Nope, I don't want to fight on winning ground. I want to be an idiot and go, which way ground does Tucker Carlson want me to fight on? I'll go fight on that ground. Please learn politics. Otherwise, get off of Twitter and do something productive with your lives. Become a plumber or something, or a dentist. Do something useful. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.